Hello everyone, nice to have you back for another episode of our 107 channel. A little chilly in here meanwhile. Well, it's winter. A couple of sit-ups and I would feel better for sure. But hey, anything to get away from the wife for a couple of hours. Today's topic, model W114 and W115, so-called /8, diesel 2.2 liters, W114 because it is a 4-cylinder model. The 6-cylinder models were called W115. This one here is from 1973 and the fuel sensor lever is not working anymore. Probably due to oxidation and dirt. The potentiometer is reading oddly, so the needle of the tank in the cluster is not working. Today we unbolt and dismantled the fuel level sensor to see what's wrong with it. Maybe a little brush up and cleansing is enough, or maybe we need to buy a new one for €200. But let us try to repair the old one first and spend these €200 on something else. Let us get the hands dirty right after the introduction. Here we go, welcome to my boot. Once the floor mat is gone, you have access to this one here. The electrical wires run along here to the cluster. This plastic lid covers the whole thing. First, take a screwdriver and get rid of that cover here. This here is the electrical connector with 3 poles. Pull it out carefully so you do not damage the wires here. This is what this socket looks like from underneath. Please see picture on the left hand side above. We got 5 small nuts here with washers underneath, which hold the tube of the sensor in place. They need to go to get the assembly out of there. It does not really matter how full or empty the tank is. Here we go, the 5 nuts are gone. Make sure you do not lose the washers. Let us have a look inside this connector by flipping the top lid of the housing. Maybe one of the pins is not connecting to the correspondent wire anymore. Could also be the culprit for malfunctioning. This one here seems to be alright. Let us move on to the next step, which is to lift the sensor out of the tank. This hook is actually used to remove the cluster in the cockpit and quite useful right here as well. Just slide the hook around underneath, move it around a little and the top plate comes loose. Work your way around this plate, be patient, take your time. There you go, just pull it out, let the diesel drop back into the tank. A receptacle would have been useful right now. Well, we don't have one, but look, this sensor really looks shot. Here we are, this is what it looks like, dirt all over. This bottom bolt holding the lower end in place, this one needs to go. But first of all, it needs a generous shower of my heavy duty Liquimoly engine bay cleaning spray. Very good stuff actually. Once the dirt is gone, I can turn the bolt. Clean so far. This is a slot nut. Please see picture on the left hand side. Needle nose pliers or lock ring pliers will do this job. Try not to break that plastic ring around the slot nut. Turn to the left. Lift off that protective cover. This here underneath is a so-called labyrinth where the fuel is changing level up and down. Does not surprise me at all that this is not working anymore after 60 years or more in service. Next step, lift off the tube carefully. Some spillage is normal. This is what is left on the inside. Since there is a notch, you cannot reassemble it the wrong way. The notch makes it foolproof. Now, be extremely careful not to touch these thin wires. The black thing here is the float, which is measuring the level of fuel. The wires work like a potentiometer. Short wire, little resistance, long wire, more resistance is being transmitted to the needle in the gauge in the cluster. All this dirt has to go, which is inhibiting proper measuring. Please do not break the wires. If you screw it up, do not put the blame on me. I told you 5 times. Gave the entire assembly a bath in acetone. This is the blocked float with the 3 copper wires around it. No surprise, the float cannot slide up and down on that rod. The dirt of 50 years sitting in here. By the way, did I tell you to be careful with these wires? Did I? I tried to remove all old residue which is sitting on that rod over the years, some corrosion as well. I left the assembly for an hour in acetone and look how much dirt came off. Here we have all parts of this assembly. The cover lid here can be removed from that aluminium tube as well, so you can give that tube a wipe from the inside. We now reassemble by starting here. Find the right spot where that notch in the tube has to fit in that nose on that plate. Make sure the float can move freely on that rod, sliding easily up and down. Next, put the plate on top. Forgot to put the lid on. Well, next, the slot nut is next. Looks alright at first glance. The gasket looks okay, did not replace it for a new one. Fiddle it over the tube and slide it downwards. Turn it in a way so the holes match the holes in the aluminium plate. Here we go. Slide it into the tank carefully. Slide it in position over the 5 bolts. Press downwards evenly, put on the washers and tighten the bolts. Great. Last step. Put on the 3-pole connector. Make sure you do not squeeze the wires. Put them in the provided channel. That lid there has a cutout for the wires as well. Let us have a look at our cluster. Did you notice this beautiful white steering wheel? Would not mind to have one in my 108 as well. Turn the key and the needle seems to move again. Fine. What did we accomplish yet? The needle is not flickering anymore. The fuel level sensor is next to new again. You know exactly how much fuel you got left. The black float has to slide freely over that rod and has to touch the bottom as well to light the reserve bulb. We have just saved around some 200 euros, which is the minimum you would have paid for a new one. We'll spend this money on some other stuff for my cars. Hope you have liked it. Please have a look at the video description below for hints and links for spare parts and repair instructions. Take care everyone. Hope to see you around next time. Bye bye.